Okay, my outstanding friends, today was a very serious discussion about the new research on colorectal cancer and virtually all cancers. Colorectal cancer now is the #1 killer of cancers for people under 50. It used to be you didn't get it until you were quite old. Now it's become younger and younger and younger, and I think I understand what is going on. Now, colorectal is your digestive system, basically, and there's symptoms that will appear, and we'll discuss those, and why do these particular symptoms occur, and why is it the digestive system, and what causes literally all cancer? And that answer is invasion. All right, it's invasion of tissues. Why do tissues become invaded and then have these tumors anchor inside your tissues and grow these huge tumors and kill you? Why does that happen? And why is there's close to 400 different cancers? Why is that? Why isn't there just one cancer that does everything? Why? What is the difference in those cancers? Why do they attack different tissues? This is what we need to understand. So let's see if we can figure it out. All right, here's the issue. Meet your interstitium, a newfound organ. This is from 2018. They never even knew it existed. The only reason they know it existed because I found it. I could see it in my Mudfossils because they're preserved and locked in place. Every time they were doing autopsies, they'd cut these things open, and this would be flat. All of the fluids would have gone out, and they said all they ever thought it was one flat, semi-thick layer of like cellophane almost, because all the fluids had run out of it. So it was one thin, flat layer. Well, I said, no, that's not correct. And I started researching this from about 2010, and I got a hold of the people that were doing fascia research, but it was all for sports injuries because these things can get torn and all. This is a whole other issue. However, I realized, no, there's something else going on. And then one of the researchers in Germany said to me, he says, you know what we did find was that tattoo stuff was getting into the organs. And I said, what do you mean by that? How does a tattoo get into the organs? He said, well, we don't know. He said, but the organs are picking up and getting coated with a certain type of tattoo. I don't know what it was, the black part or something. Some part of a tattoo was moving through the body and getting onto organs. And I said, well, that's interesting. So I started to think about this, and then they realized, and I realized, this is a fluid-filled highway. And actually, I had written that in 2015. I said it was a fluid-filled network, which is the fluid-filled highway, because it covers everything. Like I say, every single molecule, every single thing in your body is covered. You see here, there's membranes on all of these little things. And then there's all these little tiny balls, and this is the interstitium fluid-filled highway right here. And what happens there is you get all your bacteria lives in here, in this black layer. Well, not all of it, but primarily this is where it lives. And I believe this is your immune system right here, your white blood cells. And inside those white blood cells, they have bacteria. Inside the bacteria, they make enzymes. The enzymes are what does the chemistry. And an enzyme works so fast you can't even possibly imagine it. And that's the problem. They can't imagine it and they don't understand it. These things are not just one single molecule. When an enzyme does its job, it does what's called nucleophilic invasion and substitution. Nucleophilic means it gets into really deep into the nucleuses of particles, and it breaks them all down so fast using isotopes that you can get all the chemistry you need to do your body's work. But how this all starts is the bacteria. So if the bacteria isn't present here, you don't get the enzyme. If you don't have the enzyme, you don't have the chemistry. You don't have the chemistry, you are invadable. Now let me show you what happens with cancer and the different stages of cancer, and why I say this seems to me to be the issue with virtually all invasive diseases is this worldwide, human body-wide layer of interstitium, which is the fluid-filled highway. Now, let's look at what we see here. So now don't forget this. So this is your skin. Just below it is this layer that says you can come into here, and we don't really care that much if you're an invader. All right, but you come down here, we're going to try to kill you. And if we're going to send out our troops. But you got to have the troops. Where do troops come from? They come from bacteria. The bacteria lives here. This is where it lives. And it primarily lives in your gut. Your gut is just saturated with bacteria. And the problem is that a lot of people have damaged the bacteria. And there's a variety of ways it happens. One of them is antibiotics. They're made to kill the bacteria that's living in your body. That's what an antibiotic is. It comes in and it kills the bacteria. Now, it's not going to kill just the bad bacteria, unless it's extremely targeted. And I don't think they can target that extreme, because in your body there's literally tens of thousands of different species of bacteria. Every species creates a specific molecule. And when I say specific, I'm talking specific. I'll show you this. All right, this is ultra important that you understand this. Enzymes is what we're going to be talking about. These are the things that protect you, but they're not alive. Well, where do they come from if they're not alive? They are complex, and I mean complex, chemicals that are produced by bacteria. You don't have the bacteria, you don't get the enzymes. They cannot reproduce. They can't reproduce by themselves. So if you don't have any bacteria, you just don't have them. They don't actually consume waste. They are the breakers and the makers. All right? They speed up chemical reactions. I mean fast, without getting used themselves. They do a boop, and then they go to the next one, a boop. And that's what's called click chemistry. And when they click, 100,000 molecules change at once, or even 1,000,000. You don't have these bacterias. You will not have the enzymes. The bacterias are the factory that creates the enzymes. So remember this, because now I'm going to show you what those enzymes do, where they go, and how they attack, and how they break things. Okay, this is what they're missing, is the importance of these enzymes. Now, the enzymes let chemical reactions in the body happen millions of times faster than without the enzyme. Millions of times. They hit something, they go, and everything's happening 1,000,000 times in a second. Because enzymes are not part of the product. They can be reused over and over again. It's called click chemistry. You have an enzyme, very exotic particle. It comes up and it sees something it doesn't like with a magnetic signature. It goes bam, and it's just dead. It's all torn to shreds. And then it goes to the next one and goes bam, click, click, click. And 100,000, millions of them can break at one instantaneously. That is your immune system. Enzyme activity measures how fast an enzyme can change a substrate into a product. So they're taking something that wasn't anything, and they're just breaking it down instantaneously, and they call that a product. Well, it goes both ways. It can break it down into just a bunch of waste, or the enzyme can make something up quickly. It can build a product. They both work both ways. Now listen to this. This just tells the tale right here. Enzyme activity measures how fast an enzyme substrate can make a substrate into a product. Okay, so changes in temperature or acidity can make enzyme reactions go faster or slower. Right? The ideal for us is 98.6. Enzymes work best under certain conditions, and enzyme activity will slow down if the conditions are not ideal. Listen very carefully. This tells the tale right here. For example, your normal body temperature is 98.6 degrees, 37 Celsius. But if you have a fever, your temperature is above 104 degrees, 40 Celsius. Some of the enzymes in your body just stop working. And if you don't have the enzymes working continuously, 24/7, instantly, you're going to get sick. So it says at that temperature, 104 degrees, some of your enzymes just not going to do their job anymore, and you could get sick. Do you hear that? Go over 104, and the temperature is not correct enough for that enzyme to make all that chemistry happen, and you can get sick. There's also enzymes in your stomach that speed up the breakdown of food you eat. So they break them down, they build them up. But they are only active when they are in your stomach acid. Each enzyme has a set of conditions where they work best, depending upon where they act and what they do. Exactly. You have literally thousands. Well, they just said in every cell. Every cell. Each cell in your body contains thousands of different enzymes. Just let this sink into your mind. Since most reactions in your body cells need special enzymes, your cells don't function without the enzymes. They don't function at all. So every enzyme, every cell, contains thousands of different enzymes, because those are all the different chemistry that you need. What if you lose some of those? What happens? Well, no enzyme, no chemistry. No chemistry, you're going to get sick. Just like you hit 104 temperature, that enzyme is suppressed, you get sick. If your bacteria is missing, that enzyme suppressed, you get sick. All right, so this is that fluid-filled highway I talk about. All of these, this is where all of those bacteria and enzymes can go. Now, there's normally going to be a place in the white blood cells that the bacteria live primarily, but I think they can go out and squirt around. I know they can, because they can. I've seen. Well, I'm going to actually show it to you because it's stunning. They can squirt out into here and go flying down through here with their little flagellas a zillion miles an hour and go attack something that's trying to attack you. It's a continuous battle. Your body is continuously in a battle situation, and here's what happens. This is colorectal cancer. All cancers is the same, basically. It just depends where they are and what bacteria is missing. So here you are. Here's your colon. You got all kind of nasty stuff coming down here all the time. So you need a fluid-filled highway with troops. And those troops are bacteria. And they say, you guys want to come in here? No. I will kill you. So they keep going. No. Or you just kill them. And it's that fast. One click and they're all dead instantaneously. So if you have a clean digestive system, you don't have any of these things happening. However, if your bacteria in here is weak, there's just not enough of it, or you don't have any of it for some reason, you're going to get invasion. And these are the different stages. 0 means the stuff just goes by and never hooks into anything. If it's going to try to invade here, but this should say, no, you can't come in here, pal, just keep going. Now, stage 1 is where it starts to break through and your bacteria is weak. Weak, but still working to some degree. Stage 2 means you're breaking through into the lower level of the interstitium. Stage 3 is you broke through that. And stage 4 is when it's out of control. And then you just grow these big tumors and so forth. Now, it's not going to just happen here. If you're missing that bacteria here, you're going to miss it up here. You're going to miss it over there. That's what they say. Oh, cancer is spreading. No, it's just taking other places that have no ability to resist. That's why melanoma, they say, oh no, it spreads through your body. Well, I say maybe that's not true. I say if you don't have the right bacteria and enzymes in one lymph node, you're not going to have it in another. It's just that simple, because it travels throughout your body. Once you get it into your body and it's in these interstitial layers and it's protecting you, you're good to go, because it can repopulate itself because it's a bacteria. The enzymes can't. So when you supplement which I do, I supplement my body with probiotics, and it's worked very, 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 very well. And I'm not telling anybody to take anything. I'm just saying this is what I do. And I also take Metamucil, and that keeps everything moving. You need a lot of bulk, and you need these probacteria. So this is what we're trying to avoid. How can we avoid that? And what are the players in this? Let's see if we can determine exactly what happened and if there is any way we can work with this. And what do we have to do the research to understand this? What we need to do is to understand what bacteria is in the body. And right now, it is an unknown. They just have never checked it out. All right, I just showed you the picture of how cancer invades stage 1, 2, 3, 4. They say the first one is the small tumor, no spread to lymph nodes yet, because the lymph nodes are going to go try to protect you. They send their lymph fluid down there, and then they bring all that toxins back to the lymph node. So if the lymph node is getting inflamed, it means that you're in trouble. It's coming out of there and going to your lymph nodes. So they're not seeing any of this yet. It's called early stage, localized now. So cancer has started to affect nearby tissue. So it's growing into the tissues. The mass may have grown in size. It spreads to the lymph nodes near the mass. The lymph nodes are trying to grab that nasty stuff out of there, and they can't because there's just too much of it, because there is no protection there. A regional spread is the cancer affects the surrounding tissues, and it's just invading because there's no protection in any of that stuff. And it's taken hold in one spot, and it's just spreading out. It's spread to, now, mass may have grown in size and spread to distant lymph nodes away from the mass. So in other words, there's just so much of it coming, it can't handle it. So it's going distant now from the mass. Now you got a distant spread, which is nothing more than everywhere in your body you're not going to have the same, you're going to be missing that same bacteria. So the distant spread says cancer has spread to other tissues or organs beyond the region where it originated, sometimes called advanced or metastatic cancer. So it's in this fluid-filled highway. And if there's no protection anywhere in that fluid-filled highway, sure, it's going to spread. It's just because you got all these cancers, biology coming into you that wants to eat you. Literally, it wants to eat you. And here's what happens. This is exactly what happens. There's a cancer cell. All right, this cancer, it's invading, it's a tumor. It's trying to poke through here. You're sending killers to try to kill it back, but it's so strong that it's killing these guys. There's just not enough of them. If there was enough of them, it would cut it right off at the roots. Out it goes. Debris. Instead, it's locking itself in, and it's going to start to grow. Okay, so remember, this is what happens. It gets through the first layers, which your body can deal with that normally. It sends out troops and they just kill it. You get a little pus or whatever happens, but they kill it off. Once you don't have the guys here to go out and attack, it just keeps coming down further and further and further. And once you break through that last interstitium layer, now you're down here and you're growing roots into the guy's body. These things, they can eat fast. But they need to get down into this nutritious area. And these guys are supposed to protect you. See, this is bone cancer of the skull. Now, I don't know if the skull has different chemistry and has different interstitial layers around it than bones in your leg or whatnot. I don't know that one way or the other. But I do know that what has happened to this guy, I believe, is that he didn't have the right bacteria for some reason. And it started to grow the invading cancer in here, whatever it kind of, they're growing off of these bone fibers, and they're making, well, you can see what's crystallizing the fibers. Now, that's some kind of an invasion to the bone, either eating it or destroying it or whatnot, but you can see obviously it's a problem. Now, the only way for it to get through that membrane is to get through the membrane down to the bone. Otherwise, that bone should be protected, 100% protected. Every bone, every tendon, every muscle, every organ, everything, even your blood cells, because you get blood cancer too. I mean, that means you don't have the right bacteria amount of blood cells. It's all related, in my mind, right now, to a search now for what bacteria exist in your body. If we knew a complete profile of the bacteria that exist in a healthy person's body versus an unhealthy person's body, I think we could get out of a lot of different diseases. Because in my mind, even emotional diseases and tremors and all those kind of things happen because the nerve fibers, which also have their own membranes around them, they get invaded, and then you get all kinds of things happening. Plus, it can, your emotional well-being can very, very severely be impacted by distress in your nerve system, whether it's just in your nerves or whether your body is just feeling, oh God, I wish I'd die, that type of thing, But your gut is what regulates everything. Hippocrates said all disease starts in the gut. And that was only a couple thousand years ago. So, so it's been known. It's not unknown. Because, if you have digestive issues and you're not getting your food processed correctly, this is bottom line. If you don't get your food processed correctly, you're going to be unhealthy. Secondly, you're not going to have the bacteria growing in the places where they're needed. And you're not, because you have to have the bacteria, but you also have to feed them. They don't just live there with no sustenance. So they call it prebiotics, which is something that feeds your bacteria. And then you have probiotics, that's the bacteria itself. And they live in that membrane. And if we could know what's supposed to be there and find out this guy doesn't have that stuff, well, give him some of that stuff. Okay, I'm going to try to give you a deep understanding briefly of how this works. I have been working with Marguerite O'Reilly over in Ireland, North Ireland, and she is trying to put together a program. She's working on autism. But it's the same thing. Autism is an invasion of the nerve fibers. And we've been working together on this for a number of years. And she's starting a good project over there. And this is the bacteria we're dealing with. Okay, these are the ones that make the enzymes. All right, remember this. Each cell contains thousands of different enzymes. Now, where do the enzymes come from? They come from bacteria. As I said, you cannot get the enzyme without the bacteria. You don't have the bacteria, you don't get them. And there's thousands of different bacteria. That means there's thousands of different enzymes. There have to be thousands of different bacteria, and they know there is. Now, how do they make an enzyme? Each bacteria is literally programmed to create a ribosome. All right, the DNA, this is a single cell. I mean, these things are just almost nothing. And what it does is it makes these little blue balls called ribosomes, and the ribosomes turn into the enzymes. They have a flagella, most of them, so they can zip, 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 zip back and forth through the body, apparently through that fluid-filled highway. But their primary job is to shoot out these enzymes, which are these ribosomes. I'm going to show you that now. Again, I'm going to try to make this simple. All right, again, simple. These are the balls that shoot out. These are the ribosomes. Well, what happens? They have a sheath around them. The sheath opens up. What comes out? An enzyme or a protein. They're basically the same thing. Proteins build things. Enzymes break things. Are they enzymes or proteins? They're both. All right, don't freak out. This is simple. These are amino acids. They create proteins, they create enzymes. These are the building blocks of life. And they come out in these chains. These are literally a magnetic chain, just like that. It's a chain of polypeptides, which are these. And then it goes through this ribosome, and when they squirt out, they come out in a ball like this. All right? And then that is the ball that opened up. So don't worry about this stuff. This is just a little... If you want to get a little deep detail, this is the chemistry. Now, what does it happen when it comes out of here and it opens up from that sheath? Ooh, shit. Hold on. All right, that was a little T cataclysm. Well, anyway, now, here's the deal. When they come out, this is an enzyme, and these things are exotic as can possibly be. Every one of these little tabs here is a magnetic signature. When these things come up, they're like this, and these are nothing more than little tiny magnetic balls. Same thing, it's just like that. And it's exactly identical to that every single time. If one of these is missing, it's what's called denatured, does not work. So they have to be identical to that exact structure. Every single, it's not goo where you can fall apart. It's exactly that. So what does that enzyme do? It looks around and sniffs around for the magnetic signature that he knows. And he says, hey, ooh, 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 you're not supposed to be here. Bing! They all die instantly. Instantly, it's a magnetic click. Click, you're done. And he just keeps going. Anybody else? Anybody else over here? Oh, you. Pow. Case closed for that guy. However, if this guy is like this, and one of those other guys comes in, he says, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Have a nice time. And as it comes, and you get sick. Enzymes don't work, you are sick. 104-degree temperature, some of your enzymes stop working. That's why you get sick. Your enzymes don't work, you get sick. If your bacteria is not there, you don't have the enzymes, what happens to you? You get sick. Okay, this is from a channel called Seeker. This is Gokul, and I believe he's with UC Berkeley, and they discovered this, and the name of this is Your Textbooks Are Wrong. This is what cells actually look like. I have found that there is not a whole lot correct that we have been taught. Now here goes. Listen to what he says, and this proves my point about bacteria.
I still remember the moment. It's something I will never forget. The hair on my hands just stood up. It's a microscopic universe within each cell.
This is an unprecedented view of the cellular world, where we can...
All right, as it goes along, I'm going to explain to you. This is a white blood cell. Inside of here is, I believe these are all enzymes. I'm not sure of that, but I believe they are. And this bacteria is scooping around, grabbing them all up. Whatever they are, it's grabbing up a bunch of them. It's not eating them. It's grabbing them, and it's going to shoot out here to deliver them to whatever it has to. Now listen, watch.
can actually see immune cells scooping up sugars in the ear of a zebrafish in real time.
All right, that's what they're saying. That could be true, or it could be enzymes. You need sugars, you need enzymes, you need minerals, you need all kinds of stuff, and that is exactly what these bacteria do. The enzymes are what breaks apart the molecules and creates the molecules, and then they take them around and deliver them.
Focusing only on the crawling immune cells, we've noticed two classes of them. One team was not hungry at all, but it was very active in terms of trying to figure out, what the environment is.
All right, you hear what he just said? There's two types of bacteria, basically immune cells. And one of them has all its little magnetic signatures going around here looking for things that are invading, and then it goes back and tells the other guys to come out and kill it. All right, so let's go back and listen to that again.
One team was not hungry at all, but it was very active in terms of trying to figure out, what the environment is. There was another one that was kind of slouching around with a lot of food in its belly. We can actually conceptualize and...
when he said there's a lot of food in its belly, there's a lot of something in its belly. And it could be food, I'm not saying it isn't. But these bacteria, we know that they create the enzymes, first of all. We also know that they go through the fluid-filled highway and deliver things, and they deliver all kinds of things. And again, there's thousands and thousands of different bacteria in you. Each one of them creates a specific enzyme.
Visualize and analyze the contents of each of these cellular compartments in this crawling immune cell as it's kind of scooping up its environment. I mean, that is a level of details no one's seen before.
We are living in a new era of microscopy, and that's what I have been using to study the mud fossils. Now let's look at this one more time, because this is just stunning.
Moment. It's something I will never forget. The hair on my hands just stood up. It's a microscopic universe within each cell.
This is an unprecedented view of the cellular world, where we can actually see immune cells scooping up sugars in the ear of a zebrafish in real time.
Focusing only on the crawling immune cells, we've noticed two classes of them. One seemed was not hungry at all, but it was very active in terms of trying to figure out, what the environment is. There was another one that was kind of slouching around with a lot of food in its belly. We can actually conceptualize and visualize and analyze the contents of each of these cellular compartments in this crawling immune cell as it's kind of, scooping up its environment.
What they had to do was create a new way of photographing this so they could see it when it was actually happening without damaging these very, very delicate little biological pieces. And they did it with a certain type of lighting and so forth. That was another very interesting part of this whole thing. Anyway, that shows you, this is well, let me show it to you. Well, here, let me just show you how it looks right here. Where are we? All right, here's where he was. Right down in here where the immune cells are growing the bacteria and the enzymes. And then that little enzyme went, plip, or the bacteria went right out there and delivered it and wanted to kill that guy. Who knows what it was doing? Now, again, they build things and they break things. They create proteins, which are building blocks, and the other enzymes just destroy building blocks of invaders. It's how it works. And it's all basically nucleophilic invasion. Look that up, because it substitutes molecules during this invasion process. You have entering groups and leaving groups, and that's how you move. There's not a single molecule in your body right now that's stable. Not one. Every single one of them needs to be continuously refreshed with something. Oxygen, glucose, all kinds of energy products, all kinds of different chemistry. So you are not stable whatsoever. Right now, every single cell in your body is in a change. And if you don't have that bacteria to create that enzyme, to create that chemistry, you're done. I don't care how good your DNA is. It doesn't matter. Because those are just programs. Your DNA is nothing more than a program. Your program could be perfect. If you don't have the hardware to do what the program says to do, you're done. Okay, this is my good friend Marguerite, and she's doing a thing over in Northern Ireland, working with the government and everything else, to try to get a database going to find out what the correct bacteria is for healthy. So if you find all the people that are healthy have this bacterial profile, and you find other profiles that are wrong, don't have certain bacteria, they'll end up having certain cancers, more than likely. So what we need is a bacterial database, and that's what she's been working on. She went to Harvard for ribosomes and all that stuff. She's very intelligent. She's been working very, very hard at this. And I'm going to ask you something. Personally, I need nothing. I just do research, so I'm self-funded. This is going to require some money. Now, a lot of people have kids with autism or all kinds of health issues, and that's what we are trying to do, is address these. But you cannot address the health issues until you know what bacteria is there, because the bacteria create the enzymes do the chemistry. I don't care what your DNA is. It does not matter a skosh if you don't have the bacteria to make the enzymes to do the chemistry. All right? Somebody should fund her. Autism and Gut Health Issues on Facebook. Marguerite O'Reilly, and there's John Jr. And he was helped quite a bit by her. And she can do the same for you. Okay, so why am I qualified to discuss and research cancer and invasive diseases? Well, it's based on my research with fossils. And I discovered something nobody ever knew about. And the only reason I did is because of something called, well, Yale calls it exceptional preservation of soft-bodied creatures during this silica-rich flood that happened long, long ago. And it preserved these creatures flawlessly. So I could see tissue that anatomists can't see. They can't see it because it's alive and it's all gooey. And I saw it when it was preserved, and I'll show you. Okay, this is why I'm qualified to speak in the research realm. I'm not giving any medical advice whatsoever. What we need to do is do some research. And it's fascia-facilitated fossilization is where I could see fossilized, locked in stone, these body systems. And I could see that there was this thing called fascia, which coated all the organs and coats literally everything. Even your skin is considered fascia. So I wrote this paper about this because nobody could understand this. It was completely, they didn't even know it existed, basically. They knew a fascia was there, but they didn't understand the fluid-filled highway. And that's what we're going to be talking about, because I believe that is literally the cause of cancer. So here's what I said. Fascia protects every bit of you from invasion, including a complete fabric bag that is your skin. Your skin is not just one fabric either. You have tough skin, you have fine skin, so forth. All fascia is made of collagens. That's a certain type of molecule. It's a really, well, and they're collagens and keragens. It's the fabric. It's creating fibers and elastins, stretchy things, in a sheet that wraps everything individually and then comes together as one giant system. Every single organ in your body is wrapped, and then it feeds into the next organ, or it feeds into a muscle, or it feeds into your intestines, or it feeds into your blood system. But every single organ is protected. Now, that's a membrane. Membranes have to be able to let things in to feed you and to do things to come into your system. It just doesn't happen for no reason. And then they have to be able to send things out from these membranes because there's trash and toxins and so forth. Now, there's membranes even around your red blood cells. Everything has a membrane. Every single tiny bit of everything has a membrane to protect the contents. It's just muscles, tendons, your eyeballs, hair, root balls, everything. All right, so it's one giant system. However, the chemistry is different in every single one of those different areas. So it's one giant system. There's over 20 different types of collagens. They're made to fit every different thing that's in your body. So there's over 20 types of collagens. I think I saw 28 at least. And then there's other keragens, which are other fabric fibers. Some protect from acids, some from caustic stuff, others mineralized, and strength and variety is amazing. There's just absolute, just billions, well, I don't know how many, but there's a ton of different types of fascia, and they have to protect you from all of these different invasive chemistries. Because your stomach is totally different than your intestines, is totally different than your eyeballs. The chemistry, the invasiveness of that chemistry is totally different everywhere in your body. That's why there's so many different cancers. Because they have to get through that membrane in order to get to you. And these fibers are infused with silicon. There's a ton of silicon in your body, a ton of it. And this is, it's very important. That's a whole other issue. It was very important for my mud fossils because there was 50 times more silicon in the mud fossils than before, and that's a product of how they were preserved. But again, this is my paper, and this was from 2015. Yale's paper from 2016 says virtually identical same thing. Heavy-duty silica, exceptional preservation, soft-bodied creatures, one worldwide layer from a giant flood. They agree with it. They just don't understand it fully.